Boating with Brexit is a look at our future sailing, boating out of UK waters into foreign places. For Americans, it's always been like this since forever. I guess since the War of Independence. But have you ever asked yourself why you so seldom see the stars and stripes fluttering from the sterns of yachts, boats in the Mediterranean, even up in our waters, even up in the Channel waters? And that's because the rules and regulations governing the presence of American yachts and American passports in Europe are onerous. I mean, the Americans are great sailors. We've all seen pictures of John F. Kennedy sailing. If you go in the Caribbean, the stars and stripes are fluttering from the sterns of beautiful boats and ordinary boats and little boats and big boats, absolutely everywhere. They're all over Mexico, they're all over the Bahamas, they're all over everywhere, but they're not over Europe, not in European waters. So, from now on, with Brexit, the rules for American people sailing and British people sailing are now exactly the same. We now have the same restrictions as has always been imposed on the Americans. Oh, just a quick note for any Americans who are watching this video: if you're crossing the Atlantic and you're going to stop at the Azores, which is the natural place to stop after Bermuda, that's in the European Union, your clock starts ticking on the 90-180 day rule. The 90-180 day rule is, in any 6-month period, you can spend 3 months in the European Union, 90 days only. What it means is that your non-European passport, our British passport, American passport, whatever, will be stamped the moment we enter the European Union, and the clock will start ticking from the moment of that stamp until 90 days is reached, at which point you are absolutely obliged to be out of the European Union, and the day of entering and the day of departing counts as part of those 90 days. If you don't do that, then the next time you try to come into the European Union, you'll be banned. It's as simple as that. They're going to take away your right to enter the European Union if you ever overstay your welcome. Now, at the end of 90 days, you can leave and stay out for 180 days and come back in. You can, of course, also do it. You can stay 20 days and leave, stamp yourself out, and then come back in and start your 10 days, but you'll also have the addition of the days that you've been out. So it's quite a complicated sort of mathematical formula, and actually what you need is an app, and there's an app, well, there are stacks of apps. The one that I've got is called 90 Days Schengen, and it's on Google Play, but there are lots. Yeah, I haven't explained it very well, but there you go, I'm sorry. I am pretty sure that all our biometric passports are now being scanned, and the information of when we arrive in the EU and when we depart from the EU is being logged in a central European computer. Absolutely certain that's what's happening. And if it's not happening this week, it's going to happen in the next weeks, for sure. And it's no good. So it's no good thinking you can blag your way around it. It is the way it is. So that's the rule for people with non-EU passports. 90 days in 180 days, endlessly renewable. But for your boat itself, it's actually different. For your boat, you can keep it in the European Union without any tax issues, without any problems, for up to 18 months. The boat can stay there itself. At the end of 18 months, or before 18 months is up, you have to take it out of the European Union for 24 hours, And I suggest that you really need to enter it into a foreign country, i.e. a non-European country, a non-European Union country, and after 24 hours bring it back in, and then it's valid for another 18 months. So for the boat, it's pretty good. It's fair enough. It's simply our passports that are the problem. You can therefore use a base in a marina, say in Spain, France, Gibraltar, anywhere for 18 months with no problem whatsoever. And then at the end of those 18 months, you sail it out of there to, I don't know, Morocco, Tunisia, Turkey, and you get a clearance certificate clearing yourself in, so you've got proof of being in a foreign country at that point. Stay there for 24 hours, clear yourself out of there, and sail back to your marina. So, what countries are in the European Union that surround the Mediterranean? Well, as you can see from this chart, just about all of them. Spain, Portugal, bit of Spain again, France again, Italy, Greece. I mean, as you can see from this chart of the Mediterranean, almost all of it a European Union. What does this mean for British sailors who want to sail to the Netherlands or to France? It means a lot of paperwork and it means a lot of hassle. The British have managed to actually make it even harder, I think, than the French, but I guess that remains to be seen until we're actually doing it. But at the moment, if you decide to sail out of the UK bound for France, you have to fill in a form and post it. Yes, you have to post it. You have to take a form, put it write on a form in pen, because it's not workable. You can't do it on the internet. It's just one of those PDF files that you can fill in on the internet. You've got to print it out, fill it in by pen, put it in an envelope, and you have to post it off to the United Kingdom Border Force in Dover in Kent. I mean, amazing. This is form C1331. I just think that whoever thought up this idea that in 2021 any of us want to fill stuff in by hand, put it in an envelope and go to find a postbox with it for something which is so simply done with some sort of app, that person now, words escape me. And for me it's particularly difficult because I live in France. I have to get into the UK. I haven't got British stamps. I haven't. Well, and to leave the boat and find a post office to buy a stamp is actually quite mega. Anyway, end of the rant. I just think it's all a bit daft. So you fill in your form C1331. You put it in a post box, and you get back in your boat, and you head out for, say, Cherbourg, Dieppe, or Dunkirk. Now, here's the next issue. You can only now enter France, enter it, by a port of entry. And those ports of entry on the English Channel for us are now Ouistreham, Calais, Cherbourg, Dieppe, Dunkirk, Le Havre, Roscoff, and St Malo. So when you arrive in any one of those ports of entry, you go to the marina, you check in, and they will either, the customs will be there in some form at the marina, or the marina will direct you to the customs office where you will go with your ship's papers and your passports. And what the French will do is they will stamp your passport and start your 90 in 180 day clock running. But the good news is that having got into that port of entry, you can go to any other French port you like. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to clear in or clear out. You can just set sail, and you can sail around from Cherbourg to Saint-Vaast, from Dieppe to Fécamp or Laves or wherever. The only slightly bad news is that when you leave France, you must leave France via a port of entry. You can't depart from Saint-Vaast. You can't depart from Fécamp. You need to go back to Ouistreham, Calais, Cherbourg, Dieppe, Dunkirk, Laves, Roscoff or Saint-Malo. For most of us, actually, that's not quite as bad as it seems. I mean, for example, you can sail from Brighton to Dieppe and clear in there, and that's a track a lot of us goes. You can sail from any of the Solent ports to Cherbourg and clear in there, and Cherbourg is actually the head office of the French Douane Customs organization for northern France. So either we'll have to trudge around to their office, or there will be some organization at the Marina in Cherbourg. I mean, that remains to be seen. But basically, you have to go and find the customs once you've arrived in Cherbourg, but that's not that onerous. If you're heading for Brittany, it's a bit more of a problem. In the old days, I mean, the easy route was to get down to the Channel Islands, which you have to check into anyway, but they're not in the European Union, so your 9180-day clock doesn't start there. You check into the Channel Islands, go into Cherbourg, then go round to, say, Alderney. From Alderney, go into Guernsey, and from St. Peter Port, you could sail down to Tréguier or Les Ardres rivers, one of those two, and go in there. You're not allowed to do that anymore. You have to go first to Saint-Malo and clear into the northern Brittany part of France. Even if you've been to Cherbourg and cleared in there, really you should have cleared out of Cherbourg to go to the Channel Islands. So I guess you could try and pull a flanker and do that. I'm not sure. I think it would need a sea lawyer to tell you whether that's okay. But broadly speaking, you should go into Cherbourg, clear out of Cherbourg, clear into the Channel Islands, clear out of St. Peter Port, head down to Saint-Malo, and it's 50 miles to Saint-Malo, and then go round to Les Ardres or Tréguier, and you're set. You can go all the way down through Brittany and all the rest of it. You don't have to do anything else until your 90 days runs out. So that's okay, I guess. When you get back to England, when you sail back into the Solent or Brighton or whatever, hey, you have to report to the British authorities. Now, they've actually managed to get that a little bit more sensible. You phone up the National Yacht Line on 0300 123 2012. Fine. You report your arrival on the phone to them. But as I read what it says on the website, and I could be quite wrong here, but as I read it, you then have to fill in C1331 and post it off to the United Kingdom Border Force Yacht Reports in Dover. Write it out by hand, stick it in an envelope, buy a stamp and post it. Well, whether you buy a stamp or not is, well, I guess that's up to you. It is, I mean, I just find the concept of posting stuff to Dover, and they're going to get eventually in the summer, I assume, so overwhelmed by paper, because we're not going to stop going to France, we're not going to sail there. It's a lovely voyage, it's nice to cross the channel, it's great to enjoy some French joie de vivre. Well, I think so. For Americans entering British waters, it's not really a problem. They get a 6-month visa, they get a 6-month tourist visa, and there's a load of ports all the way. There's a load of ports of entry all the way down the south coast of England: Falmouth, Plymouth, Southampton, Brighton, Dover, or whatever. There are just stacks of ports. So they come in, they clear in, and they've then got a 6-month clock. They've actually then got the choice that at the end, as I read it, at the end of their 6 months, they can pop across to France and have 3 months in France, 90 days in France, and then pop back to England and start their 6 months tourist visa all over again. So in a way, that's fine. Not really going to work from the Mediterranean, but it's certainly possible if Americans want to cruise around the Netherlands, Belgium, northern France, and the UK for more than a year. Okay, the Mediterranean, and Portugal, which is what most of us are interested in going down to cruise for a few years and keep our boats down there in the warmth and pleasure of the sun and the sunshine and Mediterranean living. The Mediterranean Sea is bounded by the European Union. Look, I've marked in the whole of the coastline that is bounded by the European Union. The places it are not bounded by is Gibraltar, but Gibraltar is currently, as I speak, agreeing to join Schengen, and I have a feeling that if Gibraltar joins the Schengen, then I don't think we will be allowed more than 90 days in Gibraltar. I'm not clear about that. I'm not absolutely certain about that. Things haven't been finalised yet. But anyway, there are only a couple of marinas in Gibraltar. There is a big one in the dockyard, which is mainly for local boats and doesn't really have spare spaces. There is Queensway Quay, which is almost always full of permanent berths, and there's a couple of there's the marina down at waterfront where the fuel docks are, but that has, it's only got berths for 20 or 30 boats. So I suspect the concept of keeping your boat permanently in Gibraltar is pretty dodgy, simply because you won't get a place. Yes, there is Algeciras, the marina there, but that of course is part of the European Union. So in any of those European countries that I've marked on the chart like that, you can leave your boat there for 18 months, but you are obliged to fly in, start the clock on your passport, sail for 3 months within the European Union, and then check out of the European Union within your 90 days and sail back. So the question is, where in the Mediterranean Sea can you park your boat? Well, basically, starting at Gibraltar, there is all those Arab countries. There's Morocco. Morocco is an excellent place. I think it's pretty safe. It's certainly, I've spent some great times in Morocco, and there are two marinas immediately there. There's Tangier, which has an international marina which is only just completed to international standards, and Tangier is a really nice town. It's a very cosmopolitan international town, full of millionaires. Yes, there are poor parts of Tangier, but up at the top there, and towards Capo Espartal, there are millionaires' homes for expats from all over the place, all over the world. So Tangier Marina is a real possibility, and the airport is very close by, just outside town. It's like €5 or €6 worth of taxi ride from the airport to Tangier Marina. The other place just round the corner, and truly in the Mediterranean, is Marina Smeer. Marina Smeer has been there for some time and is a little bit run down, but is basically absolutely fine. It has the great advantage of having a boatyard there, and all along the quayside there are bars and restaurants who will do you takeaways, which they will deliver to the boat on china plates with proper cutlery, So they'll deliver. You go in there, you order your food, they deliver it to your boat, and afterwards they come away and they take it all away and wash it up. The reason one of the reasons they do these deliveries, I think, is that they will not supply alcohol. I mean, clearly it's a Muslim country, but the good news is that the grocer's shop on the corner, down near the bank, does sell alcohol, so you can buy your own booze, and these restaurants which will even bring you wine glasses to your boat. I never let them because I've got my own, but yeah, all that's good news. The only downside of Smir is that it is a 10-minute taxi ride to the nearest proper town, El Dik. Yeah, El Dik is fine. It's got banks and supermarkets and all that sort of thing, but it is a 10-minute taxi ride away, and for that taxi ride you need to be paying in dirhams, but you've probably got some dirhams anyway. So that's Morocco. Out of Smir, you can cruise all the way down to Melilla on the Moroccan coast, and Melilla, like Ceuta opposite Gibraltar, are Spanish enclaves. They are tax-free zones, and both of them are places where you could leave your boat permanently, and your passport and your EU passport is not going to start running on the 9180-day rule in those places. The problem is neither of them have got airports, so the only way you can get there is by sea, by ferry or similar. So yeah, I don't quite know how that works, and neither of them have got very much large-sized marinas. After Melilla, there's Al Hoceima, which is the last port in Morocco, and then you've got Algeria, and Algeria is absolutely a no-no. A, it's dangerous for Europeans to go there, and B, they won't let us in. If you want to go to Algeria, you need to apply to their embassies for a visa to go, and you've got to have a very good reason for going, and they're probably not going to grant you a visa. If you go there without a visa, they will arrest you and impound your boat, so don't even think about it. I guess the next place after Algeria that you can potentially leave your boat is Tunisia, which is was a very, very European-friendly country until the Arab Spring. I've spent a lot of time in Tunisia, as have thousands upon thousands of Brits who have holidayed there in resorts like Hammamet, which has got a marina, or around Tunis, which has also got a marina, Sidi Bou Said Marina. The last time I was there, which was about 4 years ago, I tried to get in there and it had silted up. I mean, I couldn't raise them on the radio, and when I tried to very gently edge in there, I just ran into very, very soft silt and had to back out and go around to Bizerta. I understand from their website that Sidi Bou Said is now open, and it is it always was a marina for sort of luxury yachts with space for people like me who have rather more modest boats. It's near Tunis airport. It is near Carthage. It is almost next door to the ancient Roman ruins of Carthage, which are absolutely wonderful. I mean, better than any Roman remains I've ever seen in Greece. It is just a wonderful place to visit. When I was in Tunisia 4 years ago, shortly after that young ISIS gunman gunned down all the British tourists on the beach, the British embassy in Tunis, well, the British consulate in Tunis, was all over me like a rash with warnings about how careful Louise and I had to be about avoiding crowds, about avoiding going to tourist places about being really, really careful. Most of all about keeping away from the Algerian frontier. We were stuck there with weather. We were trying to get back to Mallorca. I'd gone there to try to get an angle on the wind, and we were certainly concerned. And I'm a fairly laid-back sort of person about foreign countries, but I was concerned. I understand that Tunisia is now pretty safe, and that's something that you would absolutely need to take your own advice about. Would I go there? Yes, I think I probably would. I think the power of ISIS is much reduced, and you're as likely to get into trouble in Tunisia as you are in Paris or London or Manchester, sadly. Yeah. So, Tunisia is a place that you can certainly leave your boat and not have this 9180 day rule ticking. The other place you can certainly leave your boat, which is just excellent, is Turkey. Turkey really was the high point of I spent 4 years in the Med, and it was the high point of my visit. And there are two marinas there. There's one at Bodrum and one at Marmaris. Both of them have got a fairly large contingent of Brit expats in them. They're not expensive, and it is a country that you can fly into and get relatively inexpensive transport to either of those places. If you're into history, if you're into visiting ancient sites, ancient ruins and things, and I confess I'm a bit of a sucker for all that. Bodrum, Turkey, Marmara, just wonderful. The anchorages in Turkey are unbelievably beautiful, unbelievably lovely. The Turkish people are a joy. I used to eat in a Turkish restaurant in a back street, and they used to apologise to me for not serving alcohol. I mean, every time I went in there, they would apologise for not serving alcohol, and they would say, "Listen, if you want to bring your own, you can." I never did because I think it is right to be respectful of the culture of the country that you're in. So I'd have a few drinks in my boat for sure. And if I went to a tourist hotel, I would go to their bar and have a few drinks. But in a very Muslim restaurant, no, I think I don't think you should. Anyway, that's it. So Turkey is a real ace place to go to. I suppose Israel is a possibility. I've actually never been to Israel, and further on down, Egypt. I guess Egypt is. Egypt is worth considering in terms of the Red Sea. The Red Sea is a wonderful cruising ground. It really, really is, and there are marinas in Egypt, modern marinas, and it would be possible to base your boat there. And I think some Europeans do. I've cruised the Red Sea. Well, I've come up the Red Sea from the Gulf of Aden, and I've spent a little bit of time in the marinas in Egypt, and I've holidayed in Israel on the Red Sea, and it's all lovely. Whether you would want to keep your boat there permanently or not, I don't know. That's something else. And finally, there's one other place I haven't mentioned, and that's the east coast of the Adriatic, where you'll find Slovenia, Montenegro, Croatia, and Albania. For cruising boats, they're all very expensive destinations, and they have incredibly strict rules and regulations. You need to be very careful indeed about leaving your boat in any of these countries for over 6 months. There are tax and importation issues, and these do need serious attention. None of them have the same 18th month rule for boats as the European Union, and they all have very stringent rules about what you can and cannot do within their waters. Their primary interest is charter trade and tourism, and not privately owned foreign sailing boats. if you do decide to locate your boat there on a semi-permanent basis, then you should inquire about their tax rules and indeed how long you can stay on a British passport. I think the same thing applies for Morocco and Tunisia. You should take professional advice about long-term parking of the boat and entry visas for British passports. And in a way, that's it. Back to the chart of the Mediterranean, just these places that I've circled are where you can place your boat in the Mediterranean long term and have your passport not have its clock running on the 90-180-day rule every time you arrive. Yeah, so that's my, I confess it's probably a bit muddled guide to boating with Brexit. It's all these restrictions are part of the reason why I've decided to take my boat to the Caribbean. But to be fair, I have spent 4 years in the Mediterranean. I've spent 14 years in the Mediterranean with boats, so I know it quite well, and it's not a new place for me. And it may well be that for you, it's worth thinking about these various solutions and doing it for a few years before you head out to the Caribbean, as I'm sure you will eventually. I'm not a lawyer, and I hope I haven't come on as a sea lawyer, so you really do need to check everything I've said. I believe what I've said is correct and right, and if you think I'm wrong, please leave a message underneath this video, and if I get enough messages telling me I'm wrong, I'll take it down and change it or add bits to it or do a supplementary video. It is all new to us, but I think we're going to be sailing again late this summer, so I thought it was worth making the video. Please, if you want to, press my subscribe button. I'd be grateful if you did. I'm going to put together a sort of little booklet about all this, and it'll be available in a week or so up on my gentle sailing book website down here, and you can get it from there if you think it's worthwhile. It's basically a transcript of this video, or rather the script I originally wrote and didn't look at when I was making it. Anyway, good luck with it all. Enjoy boating with Brexit. I'm not looking forward to it. Fair winds, safe landfalls. Bye.